Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, March 6th, 2014. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week, homebrewer Tyson Schindler shares his Stout Experiment, dividing a batch of homebrew into 5 smaller fermenters and adding tasty ingredients. Steve Wilkes will help out on the tasting. If you're new to home brewing or would like to get into the hobby for the first time, check out our website, basicbrewing.com, where you can find archives of our audio and video podcasts and our DVDs to walk you through basic and more advanced brewing techniques. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Basic Brewing, all one word. Also, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/basicbrewing.james. We have a show page on Facebook at facebook.com/basicbrewing. We're on the Google Plus, too. And thanks to everybody clicking on the Amazon.com associate link on our basicbrewing.com site. Whenever you think of Amazon shopping, don't go to Amazon. Go to basicbrewing.com, click on our Amazon ad. That will take you to amazon.com. And whatever you buy there, you'll be helping us to bring you this show. And it won't cost you any extra, so we greatly appreciate you doing that. We also have associate links for Brew Your Own Magazine and the American Homebrewers Association on our site. You can find our Basic Brewing iPhone app on iTunes and our Android app on Amazon.com. We're on the BlackBerry podcast directory. We're on the Stitcher app. We're on the Windows Phone directory. We are everywhere. Check out our brewer's logbook at basicbrewingshop.com. In the front is a blank calendar that you can use to track your fermentations and plan your brews. That means that even if you buy it now, you will have a full year of calendar space in the front of that book. And there is room in the back of the book to log the details of up to 50 batches of brew. If you want to put a tip in our tip jar, some coinage in our guitar case, you can go to basicbrewing.com/support. Thanks to everybody who has done so already. And protect your precious beer with one of our growler bags. Check those out at basicbrewingshop.com. We've been getting a lot of comments and response from the Basic Brewing video episode that I posted on Friday. In that episode, we tasted a 6-pack Simcoe Pale Ale that I brewed in 53 minutes. The brew day was only 53 minutes. That's from laying out the equipment and ingredients to washing the dishes. Everything was done. 53 minutes. And I challenged Steve to beat that time. You'll have to watch the episode to see if he did. Since then, I've also heard from Matt Whitey and Jim Ferrier on Twitter that they beat my time, and both went on to brew another speedy batch on that same day. So it's a lot of fun. It seems like people are having a lot of fun with that concept. Brewing, I have this chip on my shoulder with that when people say that small batch brewing takes the same amount of time as a larger batch, and this is my kind of extreme response to that. So it's fun. It's all in fun, and it winds up in tasty beer. So what's not to like about that? Let's take a very quick look into the mailbag. Eric wrote in after hearing the latest toxicology installment with Paul, the toxicologist. Eric says, I would like to add some additional information regarding Firm Cap S. I'm a pharmacist, and in my trade we have another name for dimethyl polysiloxane, the ingredient in Firm Cap S. It is also known as simethicone. This is an anti-flatulent. That is the active ingredient in over-the-counter gas relief and antacid products. When used as recommended, the daily adult dose is up to 360 milligrams 4 times a day, or a total of 1,440 milligrams. This is more than 13 times the conservative estimate of 1.5 milligrams per kilogram, 105 milligrams for a 70-kilogram adult that Paul had used. So I'm thinking, since it's an anti-flatulent, I'm just gonna dose my beers with a lot of that stuff and say, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. No, Eric continues, in reality, this is likely safer even at much higher doses. Simethicone is something that isn't absorbed when taken orally. It passes right through you. I cannot find any reports of toxicity from simethicone when ingested. Thanks, Eric. Passes right through you. Reminds me of a Beatles song. I'm passing through you. Now let's go to the... Before I sing again. Stop me before I sing again. Let's go to the experiment from Tyson Schindler. This is one of those shows that I find very inspiring. Hearing about this experiment and especially tasting the beers, it just makes me want to brew something really tasty. Tyson Schindler, welcome to Basic Brewing Radio.
Thanks, James. I'm glad to be here.
You sent us a wonderful stout experiment. I've been talking about small batch brewing lately and thinking about it, getting ready for my presentation at the Homebrew Conference in June. And one approach is to brew small batches, and then another approach is to take a large batch and divide it up. And you did the latter instead of the former, right?
I did with this. I've actually done both. I started brewing about a year ago, and I think like most people, I started just doing 5-gallon extract batches, kits from the store. I live in Austin, so Austin Homebrew Supply is right up the road, so did a lot of their kits, and decent success for a first timer. But as I've gone on since, I've kind of modified and added the partial mash in. My first couple I fermented in my closet, just for lack of anything else, and then moved up the swamp cooler for the next two. And then finally, being in the summer, I went out and bought a chest freezer and a dual stage temp controller and got that set up. So now, good temp control. And started moving into, made my first couple recipes about half a year ago. And then after listening, to your podcast and your videos and seeing some of the stuff Chris Colby's been writing on Beer and Wine Journal, realized how easy it would be just to go all grain, doing brew in a bag and just doing half batches. And so I kind of made the switch from 5-gallon batches to 2.5, 3-gallon batches, being able to do that probably October, November-ish. And so I've kind of been doing that since. It really works out for me too, because I'm gone a lot of the month, at work. And so I'm not drinking as much beer as I was brewing, the 2 cases at a time. I try to brew at least once a month if I can. Those were stacking up, and that's never a problem normally. But the wife's kind of saying, "Hey, what are you gonna do with all this beer?" She'll have a few, but she's more of a wine person too. And cider, I've been making cider. She's a big fan of that, so got to keep her happy, of course. But so once I switched to the brew in a bag, half gallons, it's worked out pretty well. So I started doing that. Then I've thrown a couple 1-gallon batches in there as well. Besides cider, I've done a couple meads. All those have been 1-gallon batches, but this one actually just kind of worked out a bit serendipitously. For Christmas, my in-laws bought me a 5-gallon Irish Stout kit. So that was their Christmas present to me, which was awesome. But funnily enough, I had just actually done a dry stout mid-December of one of my 2.5-gallon all-grain batches. So I started thinking, I was like, well, I've got a case here of dry stout I just did. What can I do with this one? And so the experiment kind of grew, and decided, I could split it up and try out some different flavors and kind of see where it goes there. So
the gift worked out pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely. Probably one of the better ones I got.
So what brand of kit was it? What were we talking about?
It is a True Brew ingredient kit, which I hadn't seen before, but it came with, let's see, the ingredients. It was muntins, hopped, dark liquid malt extract, and then 1 can, so about 3.3 pounds, and 2 pounds of muntins dark DME. And then also came with 6 ounces of Crystal 60 and a 4-ounce bag of Vitamin roasted barley. So that was the kit. Oh, and it came with the hops were Cascade. So that was kind of an interesting hop to go with the dry stout.
So obviously steeping grains, steeping in hot water.
Yep.
And then just an extract beer past that.
Yeah. That's how it came. I actually decided to change it and kind of up it a little bit. Again, I'd just done the dry stout, so I wanted to kind of change the base. So what I did is went and I bought some additional ingredients to do a partial mash out of it. So I added a 1.25 pounds of Maris Otter, another 6 ounces of chocolate malt, just to get a little more roast and a little bit of chocolate flavor in there, and then also 1 pound of flaked oats. I just used the quick oats, kind of get a little bit of oatmeal out. And kind of where the numbers came out, it falls, it's not quite exactly to any style, but it falls pretty close in between an American stout, an oatmeal stout, and kind of on the lower end of a foreign extra stout. So it's kind of somewhere in between there. But and then once I started thinking of the different flavors for the experiment, I debated actually putting some chocolate in, like some Belgian cocoa powder, or some kind of chocolate, or Nestle's, whatever, into the boil itself. But at the time, my fifth one was actually, I was thinking a raspberry vanilla flavor with fresh raspberries. And obviously the other four I did, as you know, all have chocolate in them. So I could have gone with the chocolate in the boil the way it turned out. But at the time, I was thinking the raspberry vanilla wouldn't have any chocolate, so I didn't want to add it to the boil. So just added the cacao nibs post-boil for the other four.
So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we did a tasting with Steve, as we've done in the past. And so you sent us 5 beers. You sent us the base beer as a control, and then 4 of these additional flavored beers. So how did you, in general, divide it up, and how did you add the flavorings to the beer?
What I did, I fermented it all. Obviously, it's 5 gallons after I did the boil. Let it go for about just 8 days in the primary. It had dropped out. I actually used the yeast cake from that dry stout I did myself, the 2.5 gallon batch. It was White Labs 004, their Irish ale yeast. So I'd washed that and saved it. So I had it in the fridge for about a week before I then repitched it and used one of my other good Christmas gifts I got was an oxygen kit. So that was the first time I used pure oxygen through a stone. I was on this American oatmeal stout, the experiment. So did that. And then, so after the 8 days, I racked it into 5 different, the single gallon little glass jugs. And, but what I'd done for the prep, for the different ingredients, most of them, I steeped them for about a week in some alcohol. I used, and again, I don't know if you want me to say each one yet or wait till we do one by one.
Well, we can save it for each, but
Okay.
so you steeped each of the separate ingredients in. Was it pure grain alcohol, or what did you use?
Well, I used actually vodka for 3 of them, just because it's pretty neutral flavor wise. But one of them I actually used rum because I thought it would complement the flavors of it.
Oh,
so
that's interesting. Don't tell me yet.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about the different ones.
Yeah.
And I have my suspicions, but I'll let you. I think it was the last one we tasted, but don't tell me yet.
Okay, I won't.
Okay, so
leave the suspense.
So then did you add the alcohol and everything into the secondary fermenters, or did
I did.
you?
Yep.
Okay.
I let it steep, and I debated only using the alcohol, taking some of the flavor out and leaving the other material behind. But none of it was that much. I used a couple little 2-ounce little glass jars for it. One of them I actually used a 4-ounce one just because there was a little more material to put in there. But and I only used enough alcohol just to cover all the material so it all soaked well. So there wasn't a lot, an extra shot or two or anything going in. But I just thought it would be good to have still the flavor from the ingredients as well as with the alcohol extracted out of them. So I just pitched the whole thing in there.
And tell me again how long you steeped.
1 week.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was some ingredients in, 2 of them where I added other things just right when I transferred the steeped ingredients too. So those didn't steep in alcohol, but got added with the rest. And then once everything was added together and the beer was racked on top of it, I let that sit for another 7 days in secondary, basically, before I bottled.
Okay. And then how did you bottle?
Very laboriously, all 5 in the same night, and just through a bottling bucket, priming sugar. I was shooting for about 2.2 volumes, kind of first out, so they're right around there. And as you noticed, that very first one you got didn't have quite as much carbonation in it, but the others seem to. And I've noticed the same thing. There's been a couple that have been slightly undercarbonated, but most of them seem to be pretty good, kind of right in style for a stout, I think.
And did you prime each bottle, or how did you do that?
No, I batch prime basically. I'd pour each gallon into my bottling bucket and then add, let's see, I used 0.66 ounces of dextrose per gallon. So I made 5 little solutions of priming sugar, boiled up, let those each cool, and then, bottled a gallon, washed out the bottling bucket, and did the next one. So yeah, made for a long night. But.
I recommend either the carb tabs or the carbonation drops for the small batches.
Okay, I've seen you guys use those. I haven't tried those yet, but especially for small batch, they seem like that'd be pretty useful.
Yeah, it's a whole lot easier just dropping some stuff in each bottle rather than going through the whole rigmarole there.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a try.
So anything shall we move on to the tasting of the base beer first?
Sure.
Okay, so here we go. We go back to Steve in the studio from earlier today, tasting the base stout. Well, Steve Wilkes, welcome back to the recording studio.
It's nice to be here on a sunny but icy day.
And we're going to be tasting an experiment by Tyson Schindler, who sent this in, and we've got 5 beers to taste, and we're going to be tasting small amounts.
Mm-hmm.
We're being responsible today, but let's start with the black cap here.
All right. So this is the base beer, the one that the other flavors have been added to.
Right. So here we go. I didn't hear much of a hiss on the decapping here, but it's nice and dark. Obviously,
there's a tiny bit of head.
It smells good.
It's it has some nice flavors.
It's good. It's a little fruity. Very drinkable.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much carbonation there.
No, it's very lightly carbonated. It's not about hops.
No.
I don't get any real hop thing at all. I mean, it's balanced, but
right. But it's smooth. That's her.
It's like late night jazz. But it does have some nice roastiness. It's a little bit sweet on the front end in a nice way, and then it's got that nice kind of black patent or roastiness. I don't get a lot of chocolate. And that might be on purpose.
Well, it's still cold. It might warm up. But the base beer is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I could.
Oh yeah,
that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on a diet, so I'm not drinking as much beer as I.
So kind of everything is nice. Is that?
It's like wow.
Oh,
hey, there's some beer.
Yeah.
But no, that's good. It's good. There's no defects that I can, other than it being a little flatter than I like. I think that it's good. I don't.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Okay.
All right. So that's that.
So now we have our base.
Okay.
Okay. So there you go. It's a tasty beer. That one for some reason didn't have much carbonation. I'm not sure what went on. But other than that, it was a tasty beer. We did a rookie mistake in that I had the beers in my kegerator, which I've been using as a lagering fridge.
Okay.
And so they were way too cold. So as you hear, we will go along and taste the samples, and we'll be kind of flummoxed because we've deadened our taste buds with this cold beer. But then, as the tasting goes along, we revisit previous samples as they are warming up and as they are opening up. So
that helps.
I have to apologize for a rookie mistake there. But so the first, and we kind of had a mystery process where we had to guess the ingredients with each of these tastings. So let's talk about the first one. We'll let the audience in on it. It is the coconut chocolate beer, which is the next sample. And so how much coconut and how much cocoa nibs, and give us the details.
Okay. Well, this is actually the one that I used the rum in. So,
oh.
Yep. Because I think of coconut and rum, tropical. I think, Malibu rum, coconut flavored, just kind of seems to want to go together. So I thought that'd be a good one to steep in the rum. I just used a light rum. Yeah, I used 1 ounce of the cacao nibs. I did half of a vanilla bean, split it open, scraped it out, chopped it up, threw everything in. And for the steeping in the rum, I just used a 1/4 ounce of shredded coconut, unsweetened. So I let that go for a week. But then right before I transferred the beer into it, I took another 3 ounces of coconut, spread it out on a cookie sheet, a baking sheet, and threw it in the oven for only about 6 minutes at 350. And, I wanted to go for the toasted flavor. So toasted up pretty quick. I'm glad I kept an eye on it because that could have burnt pretty fast. So 6 minutes was plenty. I wasn't sure quite how long. I'd kind of tried to, research online to figure out, kind of for all of this, how much of each ingredient would work, flavor-wise, and how to prepare it, et cetera. So just kind of, took what I could get and ran with it. So yeah, 3 ounces there and threw it all in and let it sit for another week in secondary before bottling. And this one, just because of that 3 ounces of toasted coconut, that's quite a bit of matter, in that 1 gallon jug. So I got about 8 bottles out of this one. I think all the others I got about 9 bottles out of. So
okay.
This one soaked up a bit more of the beer.
Okay, so let's go on to beer number 2, the coconut chocolate. Okay, now Tyson sent us a cheat sheet, and I glanced at it accidentally, but I've forgotten which one is which. So we're going to move on to the order that he has these.
All right. So the white cap.
Listed. Yes, this is a white cap.
There are white cap warnings. That had some carbonation.
Get a little fizz on that one.
Yep.
So here we go. It's
okay.
Yeah, there's a nice head
Nicely
on that
carbonated.
one. So this is the white cap,
and very different.
Not getting a lot of difference in the nose. Are you
No, not in the nose. Oh, there's a flavor. You'll see.
What is that? Is it more chocolatey?
To be honest, at the moment, I can't quite tell. I want it to warm up just a little bit. I get a flavor bump at the front end that's not in the base beer. A stronger flavor. Chocolate, yeah, it could be, but it doesn't have that. Because I don't know how if that's chocolate, I don't know how he put the chocolate in it. It doesn't have that kind of oiliness that sometimes chocolate does. There's no oily character to this beer, but definitely a different beer than the base beer, to be sure.
I like it a bit. I like it better than the base beer.
It's certainly more complex. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is, but
I'm going to cheat.
It does have a little more.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't really have a clue.
I'm gonna help you. I was right on the chocolate part, but there's another added flavor in there. See if you can pick it up. And of course, now that I know what it is, of course I know what it is.
Well, it's not cream cheese. We can rule that out.
Not Pepto-Bismol.
It's not Pepto. Honestly, I don't know. It's very nice. I can't quite. It's not pepper. I don't know. I mean, it has a little pepperiness to it, but
it is coconut chocolate.
Oh, coconut and chocolate, or coconut chocolate?
Yeah, Well,
I mean, like. Well, I know, but there could be a difference if you were to infuse coconut with chocolate. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So,
so try it again. Now that you know that there's coconut in there, think Mounds Bar.
Yeah. I can.
That's good.
I can now taste the coconut. That's been.
I can definitely get the chocolatey flavors. Probably cacao nibs. And I do maybe it's my mind, but I do get, kind of another little note in there of the coconut. The coconut's not as strong as I thought it would be when I initially read the description, but it's very nice.
Mm-hmm. It's a good beer.
I like that. Now, I have in my college days, I had kind of a bad experience with rum, and I'm usually pretty sensitive to rum, and the fact that I didn't pick it out in this one tells me that the presence of that alcohol wasn't a lot in that quantity.
Yeah, and again, that's what I thought so too. So.
And a little spoiler alert. We as the beers warmed up, the coconut chocolate became my favorite. In the initial tasting, when we first opened it, because it was so darn cold, we didn't get much of the coconut aroma. We got the chocolate, but the coconut didn't come out. Later on in the tasting, the coconut did start to open up and come out, and it was much more like a Mounds bar. So. I would encourage people to try that. It was very tasty.
Yeah, thank you. It was one of my favorites as well.
So the next one is mint chocolate. So how did you approach the mint chocolate?
Well, this one, it's two of those flavors that I've always kind of liked together. I love wintertime, going to the coffee shop and getting a peppermint mocha, or you get the Andes mints or the peppermint patties, and so I've always kind of thought that would be a fun flavor to try in stout. And so with that, I also used 1 ounce of the cacao nibs, and then I went with some fresh mint leaves and about 1/4 ounce, and I muddled them with a mortar and pestle, and then also just chopped them up as well, and those threw together in vodka for about a week, and then after that, just racked the beer on top of them.
So pretty straightforward.
Yeah, not too bad on that. And you'll play the tasting of that next, but I think the 1/4 ounce was just about right. Because like you guys kind of thought too, it wasn't too overpowering, but you definitely can taste it, once it warms up too. So I thought that one balanced pretty well.
Yeah, I think, again, it opens up more as time goes on. I think that, in fact, Steve thinks later on in the tasting that it was a bit much, but I thought that it was a nice balance. So let's have we played this one yet?
I think we played the coconut one last.
Okay. I'm losing track.
Yeah.
And I'm not drinking beer. So let's listen to the tasting of the mint chocolate. Okay, now we go on to the green cap.
Green cap.
And I don't know what this is.
It's the kale flavored. Or I get a little green apple. Well, it's still dark.
Yeah.
And it's pouring with a nice head. A better head than each one has had more head.
So
more foam.
They'll be exploding by the end.
That's right. The last one will be a bottle bomb.
Well, Tyson is commercial pilot, he says. So I'm sure. Don't make any jokes about bombs.
I won't.
You'll get in trouble with the TSA.
I like to get in trouble with the TNA.
You're a child of the 70s.
That's right. That Angie Dickinson was some babe.
Battle of the Network, TNA.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, these are pretty cold, so these are right out of the lagering fridge.
Boy, these are, and this is, maybe it's just I'm not in practice. These are kind of stumpers. And it's definitely a different beer. It's interesting to me where the flavors hit you. Like in the coconut chocolate beer, I thought there was a big jump of flavor right when it hit my palate. This one's about halfway through, so it's not at the finish. It's not the beginning. So whatever flavors do that, I don't know. But
it's a lighter tasting beer than the first one.
Yes, considerably. And the flavor, the added flavor component to me is a little astringent. Not in a not in a bad way, but kind of like chilies are astringent and peppers are astringent. But
That's tasty.
it really is.
These have all been good.
Yeah, this one might be my favorite of the three so far. I kind of like this. Kind of like it a lot.
So we can't nail the additional ingredient,
I really can't.
but it's good.
Yeah.
So that was the green one. So the verdict is, mint chocolate.
Mint. That's a little bit of astringency.
So again, I get the chocolate.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to go back to the base beer. We still have some of the base beer. I'm going to test it.
Okay.
Our dog's scratching in the background. Okay. Now, tasting the base beer by itself, it's a little flat in flavor compared to the mint chocolate one. Mm-hmm. Much more chocolatey.
Yep.
And the mint, it's not like what's the peppermint patty, the York's peppermint patty. It's not like that.
Right.
But there is kind of a lighter, like I think I said lighter character to it. But it's not overpowering. It's like, here's some mint. But it is delicious.
Yeah, it is. I think so far the thing that I find most compelling is that everything is understated.
Oh, go back and smell your...
Don't say that. You never know what'll happen.
Let me finish the sentence. Go back and smell the coconut one. Mm-hmm. The coconut's starting to come out.
Yeah, it's really opening
in
up.
the nose now.
Mm-hmm. Which is much better than spaghetti coming out the nose when you're in elementary school.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, it's really opening up.
Yeah, I think these are way too cold.
Yeah, I think they are too.
But that's my favorite so far is the coconut chocolate. But the coconut is starting to open up. It is starting to come out. You can actually smell it now.
Right.
And I anticipate that the mint will start coming out here in a little bit when these warm up.
I wonder if the mint in the flavor component would be volatile oil. Mint's very volatile. Mm-hmm. Might kind of blossom really quick and then be gone pretty quick. Like if you don't drink it, relatively soon after you've. Of course, how long does a beer last? From opening to
around my house?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's like that's kind of a dumb thing to say. It's like they're going to sit around for hours.
You have to let the beer breathe.
Decant it.
It's not like wine.
Yeah. Thank God for that. Not that I don't like wine.
Okay. So again, good. The chocolate coming through, and again, as the beer warms up, the mint starts coming out a bit more, and very tasty. And again, most of these, or if not all of these, we say nicely balanced. It's not like hitting you in the face with these specialty ingredients, like you might be tempted to do. They complement the beer, and they mix in well. It's not like there's a mint chocolate bar with a little bit of stout flavor. It's the
yeah, exactly. And I was hoping to avoid that too. Like I didn't use extract in any of them. That's like vanilla extract or the peppermint extract, any of that you can bake with, just for that reason. Because I've had beers with those in it before, and a lot of it either just tastes too artificial or it's just too over the top. I mean, obviously they can be done well too, but I just figured I'd overdo it if I tried that, so I avoided that. And one thing with the mint too, I heard Steve mention he was getting a bit of an astringency, and I could see that, and I'm guessing that's since I actually used the mint leaves, probably the tannins from the leaves, and since they not only steeped, but then I threw the leaves as well as the vodka in for that other week. I'm guessing that's probably where that came from. And I do get a bit of that myself, tasting it.
So if you did it the next time, you'd probably steep in the alcohol and then take the leaves out and then
maybe only add the alcohol. Yeah, I think that'd be good to try it.
Yeah. Next up, orange chocolate. And I'm not only getting thirsty talking about these beers, but I'm getting hungry too.
Yeah.
This is like it's like a chocolate box. It'd be good to have a 6-pack of these for Valentine's Day or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this one, on the orange chocolate, the flavor reminds me, or actually got the idea from, those chocolate oranges you can get, especially around the holidays.
Oh yeah.
My wife loves those, and it's kind of been our running thing. She gets one every year in her stocking. So
Is that the one that you can bang on the table?
exactly. Yeah, and it splits up into the wedges.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've always been a fan of those. So I was thinking, you know what, I wonder if I can integrate some orange into the chocolate, into the stout, and see how that comes out.
So how much orange?
Well, in my opinion, not enough. I thought this one was very faint, and if I didn't know it was in there, I don't think I could even taste it. But what I did two different ways. Again, 1 ounce on the cacao nibs for the chocolate, and then I just did 1/8 ounce of fresh orange zest, just zested right off a navel orange, washed well, of course, and steep that in vodka for a week. And then when I added the beer, I also used 1/8 ounce of dried sweet orange peel that I got at the homebrew shop.
Okay.
So, and I was actually leaning to go a little more. I was thinking 1/4 or even 1/2 ounce. But one of the employees up there I was talking to about it, he was like, "Yeah, you might want to only go 1/8 because you don't want to overdo it." And I had, I think I at least mentioned it was for a stout, but I know they, use it a lot for wits or lighter beers. So I don't know. I think 1/8 probably would be good for something with a lot less flavor and roast to it. But
well, plus you're not boiling. If you were to boil those, they'd probably extract a lot more flavor than just
that's
steeping
true.
in the beer.
Yeah, and I didn't boil it. You're right. I just threw that straight in dry, so that probably is part of it. But I think next time if I did it, I'd probably go maybe 1/4 ounce of each, 1/4 zest and 1/4 the peel.
Okay.
And like you said, probably boil it. That would probably help.
All right, let's go on to the tasting of the orange chocolate. Okay, we're going to the. I want to know where Tyson gets his bottle caps because the different colors are pretty cool. We have an orange bottle cap next.
Mm-hmm. That was a generous pour.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
I'm a generous guy
You are.
with giving away free beers. Okay.
Okay. Now, maybe it's just because they're beginning to warm, but I'm getting a little bit of bouquet in this one that I did not get in the others. Meaning it smells like beer. The others just kind of didn't smell like anything.
Yeah, I think, they're warming up.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's good when you're doing a tasting like this to reserve some and go back and taste it after a little while.
Yeah. That's very nice, too. It's the lightest. It has the least change of flavor from the base beer to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's actually... It actually might be a little cleaner tasting somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, it's close. Now, there's something in there. There's a little bit of an oiliness. I mean, I can't quite... none of these have been so strong that...
It's good.
It's really good.
I don't know what's in it, but
I don't
it's
either.
good.
But I can tell there's a kind of an oiliness to it. I'm really curious to see what this is.
Oh, it's orange chocolate.
Orange chocolate. Okay.
And we make it.
It still doesn't taste like oranges, but I kind of get it.
I definitely get, on all these that I've had chocolate, I definitely get the chocolate.
Yeah, yeah.
The orange is a little subtle.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, you said it was lighter.
And really refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, a little orange brings that character to things.
It's tasty.
It really tasty.
I'm gonna go back one and do the mint chocolate. That's tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
The mint is really starting to come out.
the coconut really, the coconut's really starting to come out.
Let me get that.
So the lesson is let the beers warm up.
Oh, yeah. It's very coconutty now. Yeah, we started this way too soon.
Yeah.
Actually, the mint is coming out so much now that it's almost too strong for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try it again.
It's really minty now, and I'm getting that, well, I don't know how to say it, that less pleasant accent. If you like chew on a spearmint leaf, you kind of, first you're like, oh, that's mint. And then you're like, oh, that's vegetation.
Huh.
I'm getting kind of a vegetal quality.
Well, it's also got fluoride in it. So.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, my teeth are better.
No, I don't know. I guess your sensibilities as far as mint are more sensitive than mine because I think it's a really nice beer. It's not overpowering to me yet.
It's not overpowering. I'm just trying to kind of comment on what the mint does to the beer, and well, that's all. I mean, it's really well made. I certainly don't mean that as a knock on the beer. I really don't. But the mint to me is a really strong and kind of grassy flavor that, and I'm not that big a mint fan anyway. And I love Mediterranean food, so it's like I cook with mint quite a bit. But I find that if I get too much in it for my palate, then I'm like, that might be what I'm experiencing.
There you go. Now, the orange chocolate, it wound up being Steve's favorite. So, maybe his taste buds are more sensitive than ours to the orange because, like you, I would have liked a little bit more orange in there. But Steve, I think he said that was his favorite.
Great.
So that
at least it wasn't terrible. So I guess better to have too little than too much, right?
Yeah, none of these were bad. In fact, I'm knocking wood here because so far, we've had a streak on this show of not getting awful beers for a tasting. So knock wood, cross fingers, throw salt over the back, blow out birthday candles, whatever.
Whatever works for you.
To keep that streak going. So the last one was one familiar with, or at least the concept was familiar to those who have watched the video podcast and listened to the podcast, a mole stout.
Yep. And this one actually, not just the concept, but probably the recipe, because I pretty much stole it exactly how you guys did it. So I took that one right out of your playbook. At least as far as I know, it was pretty close from the video podcast. I used just a half ounce of the cacao nibs. I did half a cinnamon stick, half a vanilla bean, again, split, scraped, and chopped up. Steeped all that in vodka for a week. And then when I did the racking, I did one ancho chili, dried. I removed the seeds and the pith, chopped it up, and then rehydrated it in boiling water. So I think that did help bring out some of the flavor. And that one I did separately. Instead of just throwing it in there with everything else, I actually put it in a little hop sack with some marbles and some fishing line on it. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think I wanted to leave it in there for the full week. And actually, I ended up having to go on a trip earlier than I would have liked. I mean, I knew it was coming, but I actually took it out only after 2 days. So that only was in the beer for 2 days before I pulled it out. And ideally, probably wanted to go about 3 or 4. But I think the flavor actually came out nicely. Again, pretty subtle, but you can still kind of catch it on the back end.
Okay, well, let's go on to the tasting of the mole stout. Right, the final beer. And I know what this is because I accidentally, the other day, when I accidentally looked at the list, this is one thing that I saw.
The yellow cap. So don't tell me.
All right. Oh, yeah, we need cups.
We need cups.
Hold out your hand. Okay. Got the reassuring hiss.
Very tasty.
Oh, my. That's my new favorite.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I have no idea what that flavor is, but I like it.
This is one of those things where, I've said it often, when you're tasting a beer and you don't know what the flavors are in it, it takes your brain a little bit to connect everything. And then once you say, oh, it's circus peanuts, then you say, well, yes, of course it's,
Yeah.
So I know what this is, and this is along the lines of what I expected. So, that's my new favorite.
That's really good. Although, I got to tell you, I think that my favorite is the orange.
Oh, really?
Until this one warms up. Of course, this one still really hasn't had time to breathe. I really like the one with the orange and chocolate quite a lot.
Yeah, the orange is starting to come out.
Yeah.
Again, the lesson is let the beers warm up.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm going to take a wild stab, and it's some kind of berry, I think. So I'm going to take a stab and say raspberry or
Interesting.
Blueberry.
Interesting.
And that means I'm not right.
That's right. It is. Let me steer you down the path.
Okay.
Do you get any heat?
It's chilies.
Yeah. It's a mole.
Oh, okay.
But it is fruity.
It's very fruity, and it's not hot. Although now I'm getting just a little bit because you said it
On the back of your tongue. The more swigs you take, the more it kind of builds up.
Yep.
But it's chocolatey, and but it's very fruity. You're right. There is a fruit component in there,
big time.
That is not like a defective fermentation kind of fruit, but would like ancho chilies, would those theoretically bring a fruit component?
Yeah, although with an ancho, I would expect it's like some raisins, some burnt, some dark sugar flavors. So I don't know what chili he used, and he may have just used some little cayenne or something like that. I mean, I have no idea how he made the beer. There is a little bit of heat in the back, just a little, and but once again, all these beers are very subtle.
Yeah.
So really well done that they're not just like, hey, I'm going to show you how to put some chilies in the beer or some mint in the beer, whatever.
Right.
So well done, Tyson.
Yeah. I think that's good.
Yeah, I like this, and I really enjoyed it. I've never, this is the first time I've had a beer, or I should say maybe a dark beer like a stout with mint in it, with orange and chocolate in it. Obviously, I've had chili beers and mole beers before. Yeah, really, really interesting. I really like stuff like this. This is a really good way to learn what flavors do and, how they affect you and kind of what people like.
Wow, smell that coconut beer now. Is that the coconut one?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's a Mounds bar now.
Yeah, well, mine's an Almond Joy. What is that floating around in there? I don't know.
That's something crawled in there. That almond's got legs.
You need to spray more often around here, James. What's this fly doing in my soup?
Swimming.
It's a backstroke.
Oh, man.
That's great.
Well, I say we shall continue the conversation off air and let these beers warm up a little more and taste as we go along.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, James.
So that was interesting. I think there was I personally would have liked a little bit more heat.
Yeah.
But the flavors in that one were a lot more complex, in my opinion. And there was Steve mentioned he thought it was a fruit beer because it was kind of fruity, which I thought was interesting. And I'm not sure what was going on there because it wasn't like it was a fruity from being fermented too warm, or there's a fruitiness that you can get from certain yeasts,
right?
But it wasn't.
But
it wasn't that. So I don't know what went on. I don't know if we were getting some kind of fruitiness from the chili or what, but it was good.
Yeah, I thought all the flavors melded well together too. But yeah, again, there was no other fruit in there. I don't know, possibly maybe some of the cinnamon plays with it somehow to bring out a little bit of fruit flavor, or other things you might associate with it. Or, most likely, like you guys were saying, probably just the chili itself.
Yeah.
Some of those dark fruits.
Yeah, it's interesting how flavors, especially if you don't know what you're, like Steve didn't know what he was getting.
Yeah.
I accidentally looked at the bottom of the list, and so I knew on that one. But when your brain doesn't know what's coming, it makes associations, and so
definitely.
So sometimes it helps to have a little, a little hint, a little cheat to tell the brain what to expect.
Yeah, it kind of leads you down the right path.
But again, I thought it was good. I think we revisited a little bit afterwards as the beers warmed up, and to me it was between the mole beer and the coconut chocolate.
Okay.
And I wish I'm gonna have to play with the rum and the coconut chocolate, because I think that combination. And even though it didn't come out to me as rum. Maybe that was yet another flavor component that jumped in there.
A little bit of just background.
Yeah, I thought it was very good.
Yeah, thank you.
So what if you were to, other than just the minor adjustments, like adding a little more orange or, changing the balance of that, if you were to do this again, what would you do differently?
Well, it's hard for one because I'd never have brewed the base beer before. Again, I've only been brewing about a year, and I like so many different styles. I've yet to brew the same thing twice, so it's hard to compare it to anything you've already done. So I guess with that being said, I'd probably like to just try to strengthen the base beer a bit and do something similar, but either all grain or again a partial mash. But I'd never used hopped LME before. I mean, didn't even say on it like what kind of hops they used. So I don't know, what kind of flavors that might have added. And with the dark LME, dark DME, that kind of thing. So maybe just change up some of that. But yeah, not too much, because I was pretty happy with the way that came out too.
Yeah, I think it might be fun to start with a recipe from scratch, rather than trying to kind of adapt. Although I thought you did a good job of adapting ingredients that you were, kind of given, kind of Iron Chef style,
Well, thanks. And that was kind of, I was kind of looking at it as a two-part experiment. I mean, one was the experiment with all the different flavors, but yeah, first of all was the experiment just to see if I could take the kit as it was given me and kind of change it a little bit, beef it up. I didn't want to take anything from it. So at that point, I could have just started out on my own and done whatever. So use what they gave me, but then just kind of add to it and kind of see what I could do. So, I left the Cascade hops in there, which I think kind of makes it lean towards the American stout. And one other thing I had an idea to do, but I didn't do it. I thought almost of dry hopping the orange chocolate stout with a little bit of Cascade, just to see if that would get a little more citrus flavor in it too. So that may be something to experiment with.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Well, very nice. Well, this has been fun as usual. When we're tasting free good beers from generous people, very nice. And if you ever do something like this again, kind of off the wall experiment, let us know. And I'd like to at least hear of how it comes out.
Okay, definitely.
Well, thanks, Tyson.
Yeah, thanks, James. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks again to Tyson and to Steve. Steve has challenged me to brew an oyster stout for an upcoming Basic Brewing video, so I may follow Tyson's example and split up a large batch into smaller batches and then play around a bit. Stay tuned. In the meantime, if you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to James at basicbrewing.com, or just fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com, and please don't forget to tell us where you're from. Our Basic Brewing growler bags are available in our shop. Protect your precious homebrew and craft beers. You take it from place to place. Check out our support link where you can throw a couple of bucks into the tip jar by subscribing financially to our podcasts. Be sure to check out our DVDs, Extract Brewing and Partial Mashing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, and Introduction to Wine Kits. You can find them all on our site. We've got combo deals to save you a few bucks if you want to buy more than one DVD at a time. You can check out our Basic Brewing shirts in the store, too. Our Brewers Logbooks are also in the store. Keep track of up to 50 batches of beer. You can see a listing of the fine folks across the country who sell our DVDs on basicbrewing.com, and if there isn't a vendor in your area, you can order them online at our online shop at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody who's continued to click on our Amazon.com link. We greatly appreciate the support. Our featured products this week that were purchased through the link are Reinventing the Chicken Coop, 14 original designs with step-by-step building instructions, and Zing! Opaque Embossing Powder, 1 ounce white. Thanks again, everybody. And remember, I can't tell who bought what, so no worries there. Just click on the Amazon.com logo on our site the next time you feel like Amazon shopping. We greatly appreciate your support there. Don't forget, you can also join the American Homebrewers Association and subscribe to Brew Your Own magazine through the associate links on basicbrewing.com. That's all until next time. Until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dodson. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. So long.